Hi there, my name is James Kaiser and I'm the owner of Golf Educational Encounters, www.golfee.golf. I'm also a project manager for the Cosmic Driving Range. I'm also a volunteer director for the Golf Heritage Society, and I'm a passionate supporter of Cherokee Golf Course. I play hickory golf there. It's my favorite place to go. I've raised my daughter on it, raised my grandson on it. Here's some pictures we do every year on the first hole since he was 2 years old, and you can see that. My Uncle Bill Kaiser right here. Here he is with Joe Lewis, one of his best friends, the famous heavyweight boxer. Here's Gabe Brewer in the picture, my Aunt Penny. He used to be the head pro there back in the 1920s. He played on the PGA Tour from 1928 to 1959. Many of the older people remember him as Mr. Powerbuilt. He ran Powerbuilt Golf, where they won 12 major championships. His players did. Fuzzy Zeller was one of his players. Jody Mudd, one of his players that you might remember. But I grew up there, and I want to give you a recap on what happened at the first meeting last night at the Douglas Community Center. I think it went very well. I'm very optimistic, especially after going there. But I felt a little uneasy because afterwards I talked to a lot of people, and they tell me that the Olmsted people have been wanting to close this thing for 127 years. Since Frederick Olmsted since it was built, he's wanted to get it closed. He never wanted it there in the first place. They've been actively pursuing this since the 80s, trying to come up with any way possible to get this thing closed by not putting any dollars into it, not promoting it, not helping it out. They thought 3 years ago when I spoke to the Metro Council about the same subject that they could get it done, but then COVID hit. So under the disguise of COVID, they put an RFP bid out for request for programming and proposal. They put a RFP bid out in 2019 at the height of COVID. And supposedly only a PGA professional is allowed to bid on this thing, but somehow the Olmsted people were able to bid, and they claim they got no other bids. So one of the discussions that came up during the meeting that was attended by about 150 people, probably half for, half against, maybe a little bit more for the golfers. Most of the speakers were golfers and very passionate. I'm going to go in some detail about what they said. But they basically were not happy about how this whole thing has gone on. First of all, we were only allowed 2 minutes to speak. It's really hard to articulate. That's why I'm doing this video in 2 minutes, what you're trying to get accomplished or what you're trying to expose. After every speaker that spoke, about 75% were for Cherokee, Saving Cherokee, reasons why that I'll get into. But after every speaker spoke, Margaret, Brosko, the interim director of Parks and Recreation, or in charge of golf, I don't really know what her position is, but she was in charge of this meeting, and she was very rebukive, condescending about after every speaker she had to put a rebuttal in after they spoke, which made me feel a little uneasy, where she didn't do that for the get rid of Cherokee people. She started the meeting out telling everybody how she was very open-minded. She wanted to do what the public wanted to do, what was best for the community. But you could tell this whole group has had in their mind, and they thought they could get it done back when COVID started, and then COVID hit. And so it's kind of set them back. What they're proposing is they want to put boats on Willow Pond. I'm all for that. That's great. Go ahead and do that. We could even reroute number 6 and make it come back along the road, and you could have the whole lake. They also want to put a restaurant in to the pro shop, which would be great, but I don't think that's going to be a big revenue generator like they claim. The other thing they want to do is open up all the walkways and the cart paths to close Cherokee and use that for more walking trails. You have to understand, there's 123 parks, there's thousands of acres. Less than 1% of all the property in all our parks is golf courses. Golf is at an all-time high. It is doing more rounds, more revenue than they've ever experienced, including in our metro parks. Cherokee made $59,000 last year. So that just puts in perspective, even with no head pro, no management, no tournaments, no charity events that, by the way, in the 127 years have raised millions of dollars for charity. But even under everything they did, they even have gotten rid of our superintendent. and we don't have a superintendent there that we had for the last 15 years, Rick Hijack. And so they're doing everything they can. Their vision is to kill Cherokee. That you can clearly see that, and that clearly came across in the public sentiment of what was going on. And honestly, remaining open-minded as a conservative kind of a person and somebody who has critical thinking, I can see why they want it, because they just see a new and shiny, better place to walk that's manicured and well kept. Well, you know what? When they don't have funding, all that kind of goes away. So the walking trail thing, when they have thousands and thousands of walking trails now and they need that 52 acres, just doesn't raise mustard. The consensus is amongst the people, and you can see it on the YouTube comments, is a lot of people think all the Olmsted people really want is that pro shop so they can move away from their headquarters there with the Metro Park people and move it to Cherokee and be in Cherokee Park. And I say, let them move in there. That's great. Let them move in the maintenance shed. Create another building. Let them move in if they have the funding for that. They say it's going to cost $1.2 million to upgrade the pro shop. Yeah, probably for their offices. But honestly, it'd probably take less than $100,000 to really fix that place up and make it new and shiny. If you created some programming along with that, the restaurant, maybe put a laser driving range in there. So at night, it's a laser driving range. It's an attraction. It's a draw. In the day, it becomes a golf course again. You'd have revenue from the restaurant morning, noon, and night. It could kill it. It would be awesome. I'd love that. But instead of incorporating all ideas, they just want to say, no, we're just going to make walking paths. That's their solution for the golf course. They don't really have any revenue solution. They just want to put more further financial burden on the city. Some other things that came up were the fact that, Topgolf. Topgolf is coming into town. Many of you don't know this, but Topgolf is huge. Topgolf has done wonders for the game of golf. There's 38 million golfers now because of Topgolf, and here's why. There's 12.5 million top golfers only play Topgolf. Topgolf is about 70% people that don't even play golf. They go there for food and beverage. It's a restaurant concept. Then you have 12.5 million people that play Topgolf and real golf, and you have another 12.5 million that just play golf. But the key here is, of those 12.5 million top golfers that only play Topgolf, 8 million of those people want to make a change, or not a change, but they want to start playing real golf on a golf course. Where are you going to go to do that when you keep closing your 9-hole courses, where the courses are packed, they're having all-time revenues, all-time high because of COVID, but mainly because of Topgolf, because this resurgence has been going on for the past 25 years, where people are coming into golf because of Topgolf. So you have to recognize that, with no places for our kids to play high school matches, because most high school matches, according to the Trinity golf coach, and he does all the scheduling, are done at Cherokee because all the other courses are packed. He can't get a scheduled on there. So many of the rounds, the highest number of high school matches are done on Cherokee. So what are you going to do? Take the golf courses away from our kids? I mean, you have to understand, golf is a great sport. It's something you can do. To my age, I can play with my grandchildren. I can't go play football with my grandkid. I can't go play baseball. I can swim. But I mean, for an active activity, that's the thing. It teaches you social skills. It teaches you how to be critical thinking. It teaches you math. It teaches you strategy. It teaches you so many things that you just can't get through other sports. And it's a very social game. It's a game that people have a lot of passion, and there's a lot of things that can go on. A lot of people say, well, Cherokee's not in the greatest shape. You know what? Cherokee or any of the metro courses have never been in that great a shape. So you have to understand there's a big difference between the kind of resources the Metro Parks puts into our golf courses and Big Springs or Hunting Creek or some of the other country clubs put into theirs. Big difference in resources and big difference in dollars, and agronomy costs a lot of money. So you have to understand that. But you have to understand that we need you to come. We need you to come to this meeting. We need you to be there. We need your voice to be heard. If you can't come to the meeting, we need you to write a letter. We need you to send it an email. The email address to send it to is Parks, P-A-R-K-S, at Louisville, Kentucky, LOUISVILLEKY.gov. That's P-A-R-K-S at LOUISVILLEKY.gov. And whether you come, you still need to write a letter. And whether you don't come, you need to write a letter. You need to express your views on a sustainable pay-to-play model, or a model that really doesn't have any rhyme or reason to it, except they want boating in a restaurant, which both of those things could be accomplished, because do we really need more walking trails? I mean, I don't think so. We need more golf courses. We don't need more walking trails. So please come to the meeting Monday, April 25th. That's this Monday from 6 to 7 at Cherokee Golf Club. You can have 2 minutes to speak. We need as many speakers that want to save Cherokee as possible. And I'm really hoping that you can get the word out. You can tell other people and understand that these people, you know, they just want what's new and shiny that won't be new and shiny in another few years when their funding of whoever's funding this, when that dries up and they don't want to support it anymore. Cherokee golfers could support it. There's so many things that could be done under the right management in terms of creating volunteer systems, creating people that are passionate, creating a destination like Hickory. I play Hickory golf, pre-1900 golf. We offered to bring the National Hickory Championship to Cherokee, which would bring $20,000 in pure profit to their coffers. They declined us. Mayor Fisher himself declined us. And that's just criminal. We could create a destination point with the history, build upon the history of what this golf course represents. Money could be raised privately for things to happen out there that would be spectacular for the course. And check out Winter Park in Orlando, what they did with their little old 9-hole course. It's making money hand over fist because of the restoration and the programming and the tournaments and the destination dining and playing golf and stay to play kind of packages they've put together. We could do the same thing at Cherokee because it's got that history that no other course has besides maybe Seneca, that had Gary Player won his first PGA championship there in 1955. But please check out golfheritage.org, and that would be, you know, the Golf Heritage Society. That's a great organization if you want to learn more about history. Last thing I'll say is Tom Bendelow. Tom Bendelow did not design Cherokee. Cherokee was designed in 1895 by a group of residents that lived around the course. They basically went into the park, they forged out a course, they played through this routing system of holes that are there today. It was unauthorized. It was not sanctioned by the city. It was just some people playing in the park. That's how Cherokee was routed. Now, the city felt obligated to spend some money because they were worried about legalities. So in around 1900, 5 or 6 years after the course had already been run, so many people were playing it, they decided for legal reasons we better incorporate this thing. So they incorporated. They actually had Tom Bendelow come. He came, he said, yeah, you have really good routing. You could do a couple of these changes, move this, move that around a little bit, raise the tee boxes, and he left. But he didn't design it, but he does get credit for design and building. Didn't do that. I just wanted to clarify that for those of you that might be under the impression that he was the person, the designer. No, it was a bunch of people that are no name that built the thing in 1895 and started playing golf there. It's like developing your own Frisbee course in Cherokee Park. You could do that if you're a Frisbee player. And in fact, if you're a Frisbee player, you can come out and pay to play Cherokee and throw your Frisbee and play it as Frisbee golf. You can come out and pay to play as a foot golfer. You can come out and pay to play a lot of things out there on Cherokee, but it's pay to play. That's the whole thing of how you're self-sustaining and why it works and why it's been so successful all these years. And don't forget, we're missing out on a lot of revenue by not having charity events out at Cherokee that have been decimated. They haven't had one in 3 years, and because there's nobody there to manage. There's nobody there to manage leagues. There's nobody there to manage anything. Even I know Greg Basham, the old pro, used to come some days when it was snow days, and he would come there just to be able to open the doors so that the old guys would be able to come in and play cards and drink beer and socialize and get with their buddies. You know what? They don't have those places anymore. So it's gone. They don't manage it that way, which is a crying shame. The building's sitting there empty, and you got one person in there taking greens fees and cart rentals. They didn't even have they don't have any food. They got some crackers. They went to Sam's and bought some sodas. They don't have anything. You can't even buy a beer there after a round. Why? Because the city's doing all they can to destroy it, but you know what? It made $59,000 last year, and it's going to make money again this year. So please come to the meeting, and please check out www.golfee.golf, golfee.golf. Hopefully we see you out on the links. Hopefully we can keep this thing open. Thank you very much.